שם 4 ימים.
אני נסעת רק לחתונה הלוך חזור? של עבודה, היא לא יכולה.
הבת שלי באפרת חזרה לה בכרטיס, אז גם לנו, הילדים עזרו לנו.
למה, היא לא עובדת הבת שלך?
איזה בעיה באפרת?
Hello,
לא.
how are you?
לא, אז מה, היא צריכה, היא לא יכולה לשאול
טובות.
לו את מה תכניס.
היא עוזרת לנו בבית, קונה לי שתי הרבה דברים, כל הניקיון, שיפור, כל זה.
How are you? How are you?
Where's your brother?
Ah,
Don't start. I think it's
These
important
are these
now.
are l'chaim tonight by Stone.
Stein,
Stein,
Stein.
Abby
Stein.
Stein. Yeah, where is
His
it?
son, his son got engaged.
In your
Mother
city.
Shabbos, and back this year he's making a l'chaim.
Wow, tonight.
8:30. So maybe some people may know it.
Oh, wow, Mazal Tov. Wow.
I told him I'm pretty sure.
איך שהיה קונה
Oh,
את השיר, הוא
nice.
עושה מזל טוב.
Wow, beautiful.
Ariel is there.
He's a nice boy, I like him. הוא הגיע הבוקר לפה, רץ
He has
לפני.
younger children than them?
That's his last year.
Oh, wow. Very
How
nice.
children there?
Okay.
I think he has two boys and a girl.
אשתו צרפתייה כזאת. צרפתייה.
כן.
הייתה אלינו הביתה, הייתה לנו אישה מהירה, שהייתה יושנת אצלי, ודברת צרפתית, הן מדברות.
Okay, so Rabbi say page Reish Yud Gimel. Amud Reish Yud Gimel. We are Simin Samach. Din Brachas Krias Shema ve'im tzrichen kavana. Aleph, bracha shnia, the second bracha of Krias Shema, nechaku chachamim, v'psichosa. Yesh oimrim, we start off with Ava Rabba. Yesh oimrim, Avas oilam haftanu. V'hageoinim hichriu. The geoinim were machria. They decided to go in the middle. V'shachris Ava Rabba, or ba'arvis Avas oilam. That is the minig in these countries, the minig Ashkenaz.
אשכנז only.
Ashkenaz. However, Sfardim and by Chassidim, they don't. Reason being, Api Kabbalah.
That could be when Mashiach will come.
Api Kabbalah, Api the pre-Eitz Chaim. So that's why we do it differently. We do the same. Avas Oilam is by both the Arvis and by Shachas. Lama ein bracha zu pesachas bebaruch, nei shi smucha liyoytza oir, b'dayla bebaruch shebiyotza oir. There is a klal, it's called bracha hasmucha lechaverta. Every bracha needs to start with a baruch and end with a baruch. Now, when we find certain brachas do not start with a baruch, the reason is because the bracha hasmucha lechaverta. Because the bracha is right next to a bracha, right before it, it doesn't need to start with a bracha. For example, in the morning, Elakai Neshama Shenasat Bi does not start with a baruch. Reason being because we say Elakai Neshama after Ashayatzer, the brachas. So the Elakai Neshama is using the baruch of of Ashayatzer as its bracha, since it always comes next to each other.
Right.
Associated together, so it just has a chasima, but its psicha relies on the psicha of Ashayatzer. You can add, same thing over here. Avas oilam aftanu is always after the bracha of Yotzer in the morning. So it's a bracha hasmucha lechaverta, so it relies on the baruch of Yotzer, the psicha of Yotzer. Now you can ask by Havdalah, you have Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Mavdu Ben Kodesh U'Chol, and you have a chasima. Why do you need to have a psicha? You have the bracha of Ma'ira Ha'esh, Psamim, you have brachas right before. So it's a bracha Hasmucha L'Chaverta. So why is there a baruch? They should say Hamavdu Ben Kodesh U'Chol, Ben Elo Chodesh V'Samim, Baruch Atah Hashem Ben Kodesh U'Chol. You have a chasima, but the psicha you should rely on the. The answer to this is like this. Because really, if you don't have the bracha, you don't have Eish, you don't have Samim, you still say Havdalah. You don't have, you say it later. When you have Eish and Samim later, you'll do it. No, you need to say Halachos. Halachos is the chiyuv to say Halachos.
But you have to use it.
If you forgot Atach and Antano and Tefillah, you rely on Halachos. But you can't do Malacha unless you say Baruch Hamad V'Kesh L'Chayil. Then you could do Malacha. If you forgot the Chanantano, you can't do Malacha until Havdalah Halachos unless you say Baruch Hamad. Say the women, they don't go to shul, they don't say Atach and Antano. They have to say Baruch Hamad if they want to do any Malacha before Havdalah. Otherwise, what allowed them to do Malacha? They didn't do any Havdalah. They're waiting for the husbands. They're going to start turning on the lights and doing things. It's a problem. They didn't say Havdalah. They're not having Meirav. They have to say Baruch HaMavda. Or if a man forgot to say Atachen Antanu, so after davening, so Shmonesi, say to yourself, Baruch HaMavda Kedesh L'Chayil, to be mad to yourself to go drive the car, turn on the lights, do Malacha. Yeah. But the reason why the Birchas Havdalah has a psicha of Baruch is because it's not always samuch to the previous brachas, because sometimes those brachas, you don't have Eish, you don't have Samim. So you do it another time. That's why it's not smuch al.
But we can do Havdalah till Tuesday, no? That's
Yeah.
the thing.
And all because of Shema.
Someone was not well or he didn't have wine, they do until Tuesday.
All because of Shema. One is both after the other. Each one is perceptible. So
Over there, there's no. It's a bracha ktsara.
separate.
It's a bracha ktsara, and there's no that it has. That's its psich and that's its chasimah.
Shema is one bocha before, one bocha after. So just
Yeah. Now, base habrachas einen ma'akvis es Krias Shema. Shimkara b'loy berchaseh yatzei dei choivas Krias Shema. It's not ma'akiv. Like someone sees man Krias Shema is coming, which today is a little bit earlier now. We changed the clock, right? And you don't you see
you
this
don't have
man.
time. You don't have time.
You don't say it with all the you say just Shema and you're yaitza.
Wait, sorry.
So you say Shema. You see this man is coming. This man Krias Shema. You say the Shema right away. But you didn't say the brachas with it. You didn't say yaitza.
Oh,
You're still yaitza.
you didn't say Elokai Neshama and
No. Those you said.
oh, yeah.
But you didn't say the brachas of Krias Shema.
Oh, I understand. Yes.
Because the brachas ain't a ma'akvis. They're not ma'akiv you. You could still say it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you're not yaitza if you don't say the brachas.
So can I ask you another
Yeah.
related question? So let's say it's a matter of like, I'm making it up. It's Krias Shema in the morning is at 8:21. Okay, and you whatever. It's you're late. You're very late. You're able to say Elokai Neshama, but you didn't say any of the brachas. If you go another 60 seconds, you're going to pass the time of Krias Shema in the morning. Could you go straight to Krias Shema without saying?
Yes.
Yes.
And if you have no time, you say Shema right away without any brachas.
Huh?
Not only that, you should say Shema.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. L'chatchila, we're supposed to say the main bracha you're supposed to say first. Exactly. The brachas HaTorah.
Right.
But even if you don't have time for that, you just go straight to Shema. Because Shema is min HaTorah.
Wow.
You have to chap the zman.
Wow. Beautiful.
And now, so that's what he's saying. Now, what do you do now? I said Shema. I'm yoitza Krias Shema. But now I want to daven. When I'm going to daven, I'm going to say Krias Shema. It's not going to be deraisa anymore. It's okay. You say the brachas.
Right.
Chayes v'koyda brachas beloy Krias Shema. Shebirchas Krias Shema einen kebrachas shar birchas shar mitzvahs. She mevorichem eisen ala ovel asiyasem. She'eni mevorach shekitchan seisvan likis Shema. Birchas Krias Shema are not the same like regular birchas hamitzvahs. A regular birchas hamitzvahs, you say Asher kitchan mitzvahs tzvano likres ahalom. Asher kitchan mitzvahs tzvano laniach tefillin. And you say, do the mitzvah right away. The nusach of brachas of Krias Shema is not the same nusach. We don't say Asher kitchan mitzvahs tzvano likres Shema. It's a different style brachas. There are different style brachas. These brachas don't have to be over la siyasan right before Shema to the Yavad. Afa pikein toiv lachsa v'likus kishma brachis. It's better to read it with the brachas. So I was already yoytze kishma. Doesn't make a difference. I'm davening after 9 o'clock. I'm davening 9:15, or I'm davening 9. I'm not going to make zman kishma by brachas. Say brachas and kishma like regular. Imloi chazer v'kara kishma. Lehabarches. Yastei chavis kishma v'yachash also came bein sibur. If you did not repeat the Kriyashma or the brachas, you still were Yaitse Yishma. You read Yishma in the morning. Just because you did not say the brachas and you did not say over the Shema later with the brachas, you Yaitse. That's what it means, Eine Ma'akvis. Gimel. Say that brachas Eine Ma'akvim, even the order of the brachas is not the Diyevid Ma'akif. Shemhiktim Shniya L'Rishayna. If you first said, by mistake, you said the second bracha before the first bracha, Yatsi Dei Chayvas Brachas. Yaitza. The whole reason why the second one, we do not start with a baruch, is because it's bracha hasmucha l'chaberta. It's this. So over here, we said that Avas Oilam Aftanu, we just started Sif Gimel. Avas Oilam Aftanu does not start with a baruch, no psicha, even though every bracha needs a psicha and a chasima, is because it's samach l'chaverta to yoitzer oir that bracha. But over here, you made a mistake and you read the second bracha before the first bracha. B'chol bracha she'ein ba malchus ein the bracha. Any bracha you did not mention Hashem is melech ha'olam. Melech, that Hashem is a melech, is not a bracha. Any bracha, the Gemara says. He called Makim, still no kivin shed nisak nesmuch l'chaverta. Since it was set up, the Chazal set it up, that it's samach l'chaverta, the yoytze oir. Now, after koida oisef ne'atzma, even now you're reading it by itself, and you're reading it first, right? Before yoytze oir. Ein b'shem amal b'sicha. So we don't change a mitamal, make a new baruch for the beginning of it. Since it's set up, it always is normally a bracha smucha l'chaverta, which is no psicha. Even now, it's not smucha l'chaverta. You're reading it first. You're switching the seder. You don't add in a baruch atah Hashem. You keep the psicha the way it is, that there's no baruch atah Hashem. Since originally it was set up as a baruch smucha l'chaverta, Chazal never gave it a baruch atah Hashem Eloheinu. So even though now you're reading it, now it's not samach l'chaverta. You're reading it first. You're yaitza. It's interesting because
Which situation you have?
it's interesting because it's not even a mistake over here. It's not even a mistake. The way I was describing is not correct. We're not talking about that there was a mistake here. Simin Samach Sif
By the way,
Gimel.
he went to Avaselo.
He's allowed to say that brachas ein ma'akvis. So we're telling a person who's doing this, if it's a mistake, of course he didn't say Baruch Atah Hashem. He made a mistake. Obviously made a mistake. So why we're not giving him any dinim how he should say it? He made a mistake. He wasn't thinking.
Right away, you can go ahead.
We're saying that you're allowed to api halacha be makdim the second bracha.
What the situation would be that the guy would start from Avaselo?
You know what? The truth is, I'm going to rephrase it. No. He made a mistake. He read the second one. The din is, the chiddush over here is that your yoitza, even though you didn't say the Baruch Atah Hashem, and no psicha to it, because Chazal were not misakin a psicha to it, you don't need a psicha. Even though the reason doesn't apply here. The reason why they're misakin the psicha, no psicha, was because it always comes after yoitza oir. Yoitza oir always has a psicha. Baruch HaSmuch L'Chavet doesn't need its own psicha. Now you're reading it, you read it first. The reason doesn't apply, but since Chazal were never misakin for a psicha, it doesn't need a psicha. So that's what it means. It's not ma'akv. It's a seder. Habrachas are not ma'akv.
No, I'm trying to say what situation would be that the guy would start Avaselo. and go to Shema.
I don't know. So sometimes you find in halakha situations hard to understand
Like
how someone would do such a mistake. And maybe he was a little after a little l'chaim. Maybe he was in
rush.
a.
He doesn't daven, so he wanted to just have a sale on Shema.
He wasn't thinking too much. Siv Daled. Schiris Maimed Har Sinai. Maisa Molly. Maisa Miriam. Maisa Egel. He mitzvah seishal Torah. Remembering these events is one of the mitzvah statement of Torah. V'gam schila Shabbos yesh oimrim shemitzvasa b'chol yoim. Some say that mitzvah Shabbos is a zeicher to man every day. Who shita? That's a famous shita that Ramban. The Ramban is in Chumash. The Ramban ala Torah says Zohar Esrei Shabbos Akachi means every day of the week you remember Shabbos. You buy something, you put it away for Shabbos. You're thinking about Shabbos. So according to the Ramban, comes out that it's the Indian of part of the Sheish Zechiras. And that's why we mention it, we say Sheish Zechiras every day. See, it's Mitzrayim, which Matan Torah, Matan Amalek, Miriam, Egel, Shabbos, all part of Sheish Zechiras. The Ram is a Sheish Arei Mikla Tiyanu. Sheish Arei Mikla are 6 mitzvahs Tmidius. It's best to remember these mitzvahs, the Shas Krias, right before Krias. When he's saying the ending of Abbas Oilam or Ava Rabba, you say Ovana V'charta Yisker Matan Torah. Matan Torah was when the Eibishter was Boicher and shows Am Yisrael. Heraftanu, he brought us close. Think about Har Sinai. Hashem brought us close to where? Har Sinai. The Shimcha HaGadol. Remember Ma'isa Amalek. What does Shimcha HaGadol have to do with Amalek? Shein Hashem Sholem at Shimcha Zari. It says that Ki Yod, the pasuk says in Beshalach, Ki Yod, ending of Pasuk Beshalach, Ki Yod al Keis Ka, V'cham al Hashem Amalek Midor Dor. What is Ki Yod al Keis Ka? Hashem swore by his kisei. Ki Yod al Keis Ka. Keis Ka, the kisei means the kisei of Hashem. The Keis Ka, kisei is missing an aleph. We're reading a Keis Ka. It's supposed to be Chaf Salam Aleph. It's Keis. Ka is Yud K, supposed to be Yud K Vav K. V'cham al Hashem Amalek Midor Dor. It says that Ein HaKisei Shalom, Ve'ein Hashem Shalom until we wipe out Amalek. So therefore, when we say Ve'kein Aftanu L'Shimcha HaGadol, when is Hashem's name going to be full and complete? When we raise Amalek, so that's a man, it was a remez to Mechias Amalek.
That's the problem. Every generation we have a different Amalek. Every 2 days.
Tell you something. I don't know if I mentioned this last week. I don't know. I read somewhere that Iran, all the way in the years back, they came from Germany.
Yeah.
And there's a mixture of Persian and German groups in Italy, in Iran, and there's different, and there's the real Persians and the people that are not, they don't feel the real Persians. And I don't know if this is factual. I didn't check it up. I heard someone saying this.
How do you get to that?
2,000 years ago, I don't know, something happened, and not 2,000, 1,500 years, something happened, and then and Germans came there to the land, and so I don't know. It's a little bit strange, but we find there's one place over here where they're just calling for destruction of Am Yisrael. So it's.
But Iran is not Koresh. Koresh Melech Paras.
They do have Persian there. They're Persian. They're Paras. They speak Persian.
They're not calling for destruction, right? It's about Am Yisrael. Calling for destruction.
The Holocaust didn't happen.
Yeah, it's stupidity. But they say they have Jews that live there. 100,000 Jews live there. Don't bother them.
I hear you.
They just don't like Eretz Yisrael.
Anti-Zionists.
Yeah.
Lahaydis lacha. I don't think they treat him there so well.
Obviously not.
Yeah.
But they still live there. They're not married with them.
True. Lahaydis lacha. By the words lahaydis lacha, to praise you, hapeh Loi nivra ela lahoides v'loi ladaber lashon hara. V'zeu schiras ma'isa Miriam. That's where you're supposed to remember ma'isa Miriam in Birchas Kriyas.
And not to eat. The praise also to eat.
Lahoda.
Then the hodot is to praise, not to eat. If we don't eat, we die.
No, but it's Shesh Skiras.
But why is it nivra? You have to eat. But why was it created? To eat? Hashem
No.
didn't need to create you in order to eat. He created you to praise Him. Uschartem is komitza Hashem. In the ending of Ayomer, in the ending of Vayomer Hashem, by Parsha Tzitzis, we say Uschartem is komitza Hashem. He Shabbos. Shashkula keneged kol hamitzvos. That's where you remember Shabbos. The ending. Krishma. On my say egel. Yesh mi she'omer she'yizker k'she'omer yelchedcha bi'ava. Right before the ending of the bracha, we say le'chedcha le'ava shmecha loy ka'oisa shah she'asa ego she'loy hoyi ba'ava ma'kadosh baruch Hu. So we're ba'ava should remember the ma'aseh ego. That's takad halacha. That's what you have to think if we could remember them.
Never knew this.
Yeah.
Anyway, we do it by the end of after Olena, we do such this.
No, I never
Right?
knew this.
Yeah. If you don't remember, we say it. But
Never knew this.
it's good to connect it to Kriyashma. There's an ingen to connect it on these.
It's here before
Yeah. Hey, this Sif, Siman Samach Sif Hip, is a famous section of this Siman Samach. It's a klolistic Sif, which is brought up, it's a very long Sif, and is brought up all over around in Halacha. And in this din, in Siman Samach, discussion of mitzvah tzrichas kavana or not.
The whole
Kol ha-mitzvah tzrichas kavana lotzei choyva basiyas oisem mitzvah. Every mitzvah, you need to have kavana that I'm doing this mitzvah to be yotzeh. Now, vim asa b'loy kavana lotzei chevasei elakim es asek ba'alma oil kavana cheres v'loy l'shem oisem mitzvah l'yatzei chevasei min ha-Torah. If you did it stam without thinking, like you just playing around, you're not thinking, or you have another kavan in mind, but not l'shem mitzvah, you're not yotzeh. However, yesh oimrim, it's a machlokes in Chazal. Yesh oimrim, depends how you paskin. Shem mitzvah ain't sichas kavan. V'ach ha-misasek yotzeh b'di'evet, even someone who's not thinking when he's doing the mitzvah, b'di'evet is yotzeh. The halacha kisrei shoyna. The halacha is like the first opinion that you have to have kavanah. You're not yotzeh. Well, kavanah, you have to do it again. When is this klal said that you're not yotzeh if you don't kavanah? When it's deiraisa. I will show the research from mitzvah derabanan. It's a machlokes. Yesh shoymim shalacha she'ein tzrichas kavanah. Because derabanan you could be more mekel. Yesh cholkin. And some argue and say, no, even if it's Rabbanan, you need to have Kavanah. You're not Yoitz if you didn't have Kavanah. Mishizbar always didn't be explained in Hilchas Matzah and Pesach and Siman Taf Ayin Hey by Matzah Mar. The Krias Shema hi min ha-Torah. Mitzvah Kavanah de v'hakol. Everyone agrees. I mean, halacha l'maisa. There was a shita that said that all mitzvah min ha-Torah don't have need Kavanah. Halacha l'maisa, we passing you do need Kavanah. So l'maisa, we need Kavanah by Krias Shema.
But before Kavana, you have to understand what you say. The teaching is good. She'akol niyah b'dvarodot. They have to explain to them what she'akol niyah b'dvarodot. Then you can make Kavana. Most people make a bracha, they don't understand the bracha. Asher yatzar adam b'chokhmah u'barav. Half of the people, they don't know what Asher yatzar. They're saying it. So Yeshivot has to teach, not only to read Hebrew, but every bracha, what's the bracha? And after that teaching.
So the Maisa is like, first of all,
I'm right or wrong?
yes, you're always right. Second of all, this is all b'di'emet. Every mitzvah you have to have like a tchila kavana.
But if you did
Doing things out kavana, what type of mitzvah is that, right? You have kavana. But you should know that if with the Eved you didn't have kavana, if it's a din derabanan, where we're makel ma'isa because it's a machlekes, so safek derabanan l'kola, right? And if it's deraisa, you have to do it again. You didn't have in mind that you're doing it l'shem mitzvah, so do the mitzvah again. Now, we're gonna. By the way, I just want to point out, mitzvahs of achila are different. Matzah, for example. If you didn't have kavana that you're doing it l'shem mitzvah matzah, you weren't thinking. You took the matzah and you were eating it. You weren't thinking anything. At the beginning, you weren't thinking. You were thinking about something else. Thinking about a chiddush, and you weren't thinking. Food is different. You're yoitze because you're nana from the Michael, even without kavana, you're yoitze, even though it's a mitzvah and Torah. So it goes out from the cloud. This is a Magid Mishnah and Iran. This goes out from the cloud, even though it's minat Torah. Midin da'achila, you're yoitze. And but not only that, if you're forced to eat matzah, listen, someone came and forced you to eat matzah, you're yoitze. It's a very big chiddush. You're yoitze the mitzvah. Now, this feeds a lot into the explanation that there is much more than kavanah behind the mitzvah. If a mitzvah is just kavanah, what type of mitzvah is this? This is mamish, a guy saying he doesn't want to do it, the mitzvah, and you force him to do the mitzvah. So what type of mitzvah is this? The halacha is that you force someone to do a mitzvah. When there was a Sanhedrin, you can force him to do a mitzvah, you have to do the mitzvah. What type of mitzvah is this? He doesn't want to do it. It's no kavana. He doesn't want to do it. It's a mitzvah. He did it. It's a ma'isa mitzvah. He did the mitzvah.
You force someone to put
Oh, that's different, by the way. There, you do need his ratzon. So you have to be quiet for him
You make him
till he says right something.
You make him to mafab.
Ah, so when we're saying over here, even when there's no reitzani, if he ate the matzah and he says, I don't want, it doesn't make a difference. He ate it, he's yoytze the mitzvah. By certain mitzvahs, you need his ratzon that he's doing it willingly. So we have a new halachic way of doing willingly. We force you until you say that you reitzani.
Or think that Danny really wants to do it.
Inside, he want to do it.
Yeah.
The Rambam side. Inside,
So this is the famous Rambam.
Right.
In Hilchas Gedish and Perek Beis, the famous Rambam, he says when you force the person to give the get, when a Pid Bezdin, he's supposed to give the get. You're not allowed to, by the way, force people to give get when the Bezdin didn't paskin that a Pid is mechuyev to give the get. There's one time a story here in New York, without getting into names and everything, maybe 15 years ago, there was this big story splashy in all the papers about a certain group of people that were forcing certain men to give gittin, beating them up, whatever it was, and they got caught and they sat in jail and everything. This is not a mitzvah. People thought that was a mitzvah. That's not mitzvah group. First of all, there was all the tapes that they did it for money. There's a lot of money involved. I'm not saying everyone did it for money, but a lot of the people were doing it for very large, unfortunately, sums of money. So it's not called a mitzvah get. This is called money. Now, the other thing is, there's another aspect over here. Besides from the money aspect, the get, that specific get, I'll go part of that they were caught on. I don't know about all the other gittin they did. Hope those were good. Specific get that they wanted to do, it was a whole fake story that the FBI made up, but the get that they were supposed to do, was halachically not a get. It wouldn't have been a good get, and they would have been matter ish la'alma, and if she would have had children, she would have been mamzeda. Why? Because in that case, the whole thing was a false case, and they only spoke to her, they never spoke to the husband, so they have no idea his side of the story.
Wow.
They don't know if Alpidin, he's tied to give the get. So then when you koifa someone, you force someone to give a get, when he's not mechuy to get, the bezin never passed him. No one ever spoke to the husband. He was a fictional husband. He never existed, right? No one spoke to him. No one knows who he is. And they wanted to give this person, make him give a get. You're koifa him to give a get when there's no reitzani.
Wow.
When there's no kfiyas bezdin. Forget about the reitzin. Even if he says reitzin, it's not going to help because it was not al pi bezdin.
Not what's on.
Not al pi bezdin. If he says reitzin, it's not going to help. The get. I remember the story happened, and I saw the FBI papers. I said I'm going to bring it to Abim Razim. Abim Razim years ago, he didn't took his gittin very well, So I want his opinion because to me this whole thing looked very suspicious. I brought him the FBI papers. He went through it. He told me the get is not possible midrabanan. It's bottle and hatoida. There's no even
There was never a get.
if the Louis to the store would have been real and would have get there was no get because it's not a mitzvah b'chlal. So I know that a lot of people thought this was like some mitzvah. Maybe they did do some mitzvahs. I'm not saying them. Maybe I'm hoping that there was a lot of mitzvahs. Hashem saved them. This one that they were supposed to do it didn't work out.
It was just a made up story.
All these are made up story,
Yeah, the woman was FBI agent.
right? Wow. So that was
When he said Rotzani,
terrible. So this whole thing was,
Rotzani has to be Bedin or just Edin?
there was one guy over there in the story that he told the judge he got away much less than everyone else because he told the judge I wasn't there for any of the I didn't know anything about the plans to beat him up. I came because I was supposed to administer the get. I was like the Rav, the rabbi there. I was a religious aspect. That was my job. So for the judge perspective, that was a light case. What was he doing? He was just there to do the get. He wasn't here to beat the guy up. So he gave him easier. He let him out like easier. I tied it verkehrt. That guy was the guy who wanted to actually do the get bottle. He wanted to give a get that was not a pialocha. Anyways.
He's making mamzerim.
Anyways,
That's
so
a
nice.
good question.
Yeah.
Let's say I heard of a case of a woman that went to as far as he went to an Ashkenazic Posek din, never met with the husband, never contacted the husband at all. And he gave his sakdin base that she could separate from her husband and go away from him and da da da.
I don't know.
And the case went to the Beddin. The Beddin said, what right does any posek have without consulting with the husband and not being knowledgeable about it? Like he didn't know about it for 3-4 years,
Sounds strange.
right?
Okay, sometimes you have a business situation.
Right.
The woman's
Exactly.
asking to get away from the husband. But she's, the business, so the Rav will say,
They
protect
have some
yourself.
type of evidence. They have to probably bring some type
Or
of.
he's saying if you feel endangered, go away.
Oh,
He's
okay.
not saying to her,
It's not a laboratory thing.
thing.
I don't know. But if they need the other party, you always have to hear the other party. Whatever is
Right.
if necessary, the other
Sometimes it
party.
doesn't show up, so they're just telling you.
Every judgment you have to hear both parties. Not
Right.
one side.
Right.
I had a mental foot of us.
That's why they didn't make that story, the get story. They didn't make it like the pidyon shvuyim, like they were
Nah.
talking. That no one really made any
But
pidyon.
Belsky begged them for years not to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what you heard.
I was with Belsky sure. Belsky used to tell us all the time. He knew about these stories. So they said, I begged them to stop. I begged them. I don't want to listen.
And did he say why he begged
Yeah,
them?
it's not the right thing. It's not the right thing.
Okay, I don't know if he even knew that. I don't know if he knew exactly how they were doing it. That there was shilas. He knew it was shilas. You know, I have my cousin took over the shul.
Oh, yeah.
He's the rabbi now.
Yeah.
Okay.
A mental foot of us when he was young, he was caught in Russia and put into Siberia. So what they make him to do? Cut trees, put them in the river and send it. And a couple of miles later on, they have another prisoner that take the tree and put it on board, and then they will deliver it to different places. So when they put the trees on the boat, it's dangerous because it's round, and you have to stand up and one give to the other. It was like physical, very very hard job. What happened is sometimes when you're on top and the tree is moving, right? It could bury you inside the boat. Make a pita because it's so big trees. He was there and he heard the noise. He jumped to the water. It was Shabbos. And he had no choice. And then the water was freezing and this was, okay, he came outside. So, okay, mitzvah tzachos kavana, but I went to the mikveh without kavana. So when me this such a...
Okay. Now, important the what Rabbi Azar is saying. Even the opinion that says that mitzvahs min haTorah don't need kavanah, which we don't pass in that way. But even that shita holds by Krias Shema, you need to have kavanah what you're saying. Shema Yisrael. You have to know what you're saying. Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. You have to know the meaning of the words, even if you didn't have a mind on being yoytza mitzvah. That shita would still say you need to know what you're saying. By Krias Shema,
Even if you did have one.
even if you didn't have in mind you're doing a mitzvah,
Didn't or did?
didn't. According to the shita that holds that mitzvahs minat Torah don't need kavanah, which we don't pass them like that sheet. Learning that even that sheet is maskim that by Shema you need to know what the meaning of the words are. You need to know the meaning of the words are. That's what he says now. Ein sichas kavana, kol makim bekish atzara kavana salev, sheyavim mashu oimer bepiv. V'loi amru shein tzara kavana. Those sheets only said shein tzara kavana ela bekavana lots de chayva. They were speaking about a different kavana, the kavana that you're doing a mitzvah chiyuv. Abot tzara kavana ha'inyan. You have to know what you're saying here, the topic. Kiloi mishli yehaner bedvarim achedim tishakabel malchus shemayim askamas alev. You can't compare Krias Shema to other mitzvahs, that the mitzvah is just doing the act, doing a ma'isa. Even if he didn't have kavanah, but it's not the best way to do the mitzvah. And definitely when it comes to mitzvah maisa, you had kavanah to be yoitza idei chevasai. Even though while you were doing the maisa, you were thinking other thoughts, according to all shittas yoitza, because you had kavanah lots of idei chevasai. Even you didn't know what you were doing. You didn't know that matzah, that the mitzvah is zeicher to this and zeicher to that. You didn't understand the meaning. Aber Krias Shema tefillah. Pishman davening shehein kabbalas omach shemayim. The point of it is to mekabel omach shemayim, or tefillah, which is siddur shvachim, to mishabeach the Eibishter. Ein ibedin doesn't make sense. She liba poinal dvarim levavi poinal dvarim achedim. That your mind should be to some other things. You have to know what you're saying. Meaning, when you do a ma'isa, shaking the lulav, the mitzvah is to shake the lulav. I didn't understand why am I shaking the lulav? Why am I sitting? Why am I doing this mitzvah sitting in the sukkah? You still did the ma'isa mitzvah, but Krias Shema tefillah, what is the ma'isa? The ma'isa is having kavanah. The ma'isa is to mekabel shemayim. The ma'isa of the mitzvah is being meshabeach the Eibishter. Just saying words is not kabbalas shemayim, and it's not being davening if you're not. The calls of the pasuk rishon shekrias Shema Yisrael. What's ma'akiv is only the first pasuk. Shu'ika kabbalas shemayim. V'chein bebracha rishoni shetfila. Only till Magen Avram is ma'akiv. Aval hafta ve'elach ein hakavana ma'akeves b'di eved. Obviously, l'chatchila you should have kavanah in the words, know what v'hafta means, what does Hashem Elokecha mean. With the eved you did not, yoytze v'ikra shema. Hafilu hoya koyra b'toyra magia parshas elu b'oinis kishma. Came Zman Krias Shema, and you were reading in the Torah. You were learning psukim, and you came to the parsha of Shema. Or you were being magia these parshas, you were looking over the parsha of the Torah, and you were correcting it with, you were looking it over. A sefer. And you're reading it with your lips. Even though you didn't have kavanah, what these words are, you're just reading it. But who should eskav and pasuk rishon? Yoytze. Who should ikar yishma ein ela pasuk rishon mavad shman ha'Torah. Shash v'chachamim itzrichu kavanah l'chatchila. Parasha b'lei kavanah tzarech lachzer v'likris vein shekarav b'lei kavanah lotzeis vein sheloi b'kavanas ha'ingen. This means is, if you read the rest of Shema, V'hafta and V'hoyin Shemaya, those two parshas, you read them without both kavanas, not the kavanah to be yoytze the mitzvah, and not what you're saying, you're yoytze.
Yoytze.
B'diavad. Now, before we go further, just to clarify, make clear. So we hold the halacha mitzvah tzlichas kavanah. Min ha-Torah. With the Rabbanans, machlekes. It remains the machlekes. Krias Shema is min ha-Torah. So you have to know that you're doing a mitzvah now in Torah. When you say your Shema before Zman Krias Shema. Besides for that, that's only by the pasuk Rishon. Besides for that, meaning beikar hadin, l'chatchila by v'haftam l'shema because there are shittas which say that all three are. The Rishonim would say that you have to read all three to be Yitzchak Kriyishma. There's three shittas. Shema's ben Torah, also v'hafta, or also v'hayin shema. V'yom is only midrabanan. So those three are asafik ben Torah. So l'chatchila you have to have in mind that all of them right now be Yitzchak the mitzvah ben Torah for the next three parashas. B'diavad, you only need that kavana by the first pasuk. Besides for that, there's an additional thing that you need to have. You need to know the kavanas ha'inyan. Know what you're reading, but at least l'chol hapachis by the first line. Why l'chol hapachis by the first line? Because again, that's the ikar opinion between all the three opinions. Which one is Manat Torah? Over here, the Alter Rebbe lets us know. He didn't tell us in the beginning, okay, Shema. But over here, the Alter Rebbe lets us know, like the Magen Avram held, that the Iker Shita is the one that says that only the first line is Minat Torah. Because in the beginning of Chazkiya Shema brought Siman Ches, that there's three Shitas, just Shema, just also Vahafta, or also Vahayim Shema, all three. And the Alter Rebbe doesn't say who we pass like. He just says that a Baal Nefesh should be machron himself because of Safek Minat Torah and any machloikus about these opinions. But over here, he lets us know that the reason why Kavanas ha'inglim is only ma'akiv, the Kavanah of Kabbalah Samach Shemayim is only ma'akiv by the first pasuk, is because that's the Iker Menatoira of the first pasuk. And the rest, Tiknu Ashar, Tiknu Chachamim, Lehitzicha Kavanah L'chatchila. That's the Iker Shita.
A question about Chabad. I'm not against Chabad, I love Chabad. When they go mitzvah tefillin, go to the guy, are you Jewish? Can't put tefillin. They explain to him what tefillin, what's the mitzvah, or just give me your arm and put tefillin.
So this was a machlekes between Rabbi Hutner, Alav Shalom, Rabbi Hutner from Satmar, Rabbi Hutner from Chaim Berlin, and the Rebbe. Rabbi Hutner saw the Rebbe came out with the campaign, and he had a connection to the Rebbe from years back. So he saw so he felt people should know, they don't even know. He was bothered that they don't know what's going on inside. They don't know that there's four boxes inside. They don't know there's parshias inside. And they not necessarily understand what's the mitzvah, what's inside the mitzvah.
You have to start somewhere.
So he said, he felt that it's a misasik. Misasik, you have to Yotzim and HaTorah. They were discussing Siman Samach and Siman Tafayin Hey and Pesach. And he wrote to the Rebbe that l'chora it's only a misasik ba'alma because they don't understand. We're not talking about understand the idea behind tefillin. No, he said they know they're doing a mitzvah. You're coming asking to do a mitzvah, so they know they want to be yitzim mitzvah. That's not a problem. The other was if they don't know the chefts of the mitzvah, maybe it's like they're eating matzah, but they think in their mind they're eating a piece of meat. They don't know the mitzvah; it's a misasik. So he's saying, b'shas, you're putting on the tefillin, you don't know that's made up of arba parshias, which are written in the Torah, so you don't know. And so the Rebbe argued with him. He wrote back. And they had a back and forth on it. How much idea do you have to know about a mitzvah that should not be considered a misasik? So it was a very interesting exchange which they had on this issue.
What year was it?
How detailed, the Rebbe said when you makdish a carbon, the Rebbe wrote to him back. One of the points in one of the letters, I don't remember, was they only discovered this exchange like about 25 years ago, 20 years ago, after the Rebbe was a Stalik, after everything, they found the Rebbe's library. It seems like the Rebbe had at one point, maybe it was in a safe or something, sent back things into the library, and they were going through something, somehow someone was looking for a safe, found out there was a whole exchange of letters there. The Ksav Yad, both the Rebbe and Hutner on the stationery and everything, writing back and forth to each other, which no one knew about, and it was published, so then they published it. So it was published.
Wow.
Maybe the Rebbe wouldn't have published it because it was a private exchange, whatever it was, but at this point, everyone was an Eilam Mahamis, so it was published. And he wrote with covered, and he actually he signed up with his mother's name, not his father's name, like you write to Rebbe. For your mother's name, Ben, his mother's name. And he had a discussion. The Rebbe told me, you're makdish a carbon to the Mizbeach. You have to know that in the behema there's all these organs and there's all these evarim, right?
That's a good.
So that was a discussion. They went back and forth. How much you have to know? It's enough. This is a mitzvah. You have to know that there's halacha l'moshe mesim is associated with it, and all these pratim. But you don't have to know the pratim. By the way, he wasn't against the idea of doing it. He just said he thinks you should explain it to the person.
Right. That's what I'm.
The person, he's suggesting that you should say to the person that you're putting on, which is 4 parshias, and it's like a nice thing. But the Rebbe wasn't going to ma'akiv that you should stop the. The Stammer Rebbe didn't have such lumdish problems with it. There was other. It wasn't yeah, he said he's going to think about. Maybe he's thinking about a Dvar Isser in the middle, and things like that. Yeah, maybe the Rebbe said, why should we think that right this minute he's thinking about it? Now you're coming over to him. He never puts on tefillin, and sometimes he does, and you're coming, talking, and starting to show him putting on tefillin. Why mitzvah if you think now having a machshava zara? So like he's busy thinking about what you're doing with him is like a very intriguing new thing. The other thing is the Rebbe pointed out that the Magen Avram that the Satmar Rebbe was pointing out to in Hilchos Tefillin was said that it didn't say that you're not allowed to put on tefillin. He said that if you know for sure, the lashon over there comes out that only if you know for sure that you're going to have a machshava zara, you shouldn't put on tefillin. But not if you have a suffix. It is not for sure. Why for sure should we think that he's thinking of machshava zara? So the Rebbe had to answer. I don't remember all the questions that he had. There were a number of questions that came up from that direction, from the Rebbe, for the Chassidus. So the Rebbe addressed that.
Another question.
And interesting, at that time, there was someone who was on a Gouda convention here in America. And there was a certain Rosh Hashiva there that he spoke against when he saw this new campaign that the Rebbe had initiated. He didn't like it, this Rosh Hashiva. So he spoke against. Now, when the Reb Hutner and the Rebbe had this exchange with each other, so at one point the Rebbe didn't respond right away back. I guess initially when he wrote to him, the Rebbe didn't respond right away. So he was concerned that maybe the Rebbe felt that he's questioning Mr. Tefillin, and meanwhile there was a certain Rosh Hashiva Aguda that was talking publicly. He gave his own speech by the Aguda convention, decided to air out his feelings about it against Lubavitch and against Mr. Tefillin. So he felt maybe the Rebbe's not answering because he's putting Reb Hutner together with what went on with the Gouda convention. Maybe Reb Hutner was there, Mustami was at the Gouda convention, that he was connected with that person. He's writing to him. So he wrote another letter to the Rebbe that I hope the Rebbe wasn't makbid on me. So that had nothing to do with that at all. I'm just asking because I want to understand, the idea had nothing to do with anything with this. And the Rebbe wrote back, it had nothing to do, like he was a bit busy, whatever it was, that he just didn't respond. Whatever it was, they had a very nice exchange, and there were a lot of people. Some people after it came out were writing about what the Hutner meant, what the Rebbe meant, and the exchange finishes off with the Hutner. And it doesn't say I don't know if there wasn't or there in the exchange wasn't found any response from the Rebbe to the final shilas that the Hutner had, his heichachas to the thing. But it was about this, what's together misasik, how much of misasik.
Oh, another question.
Yeah.
18 needs the same like Krias Shema. You need the kavana, all of the
first
one, the fourth.
First bracha.
Only the first. The same
Only first bracha. Yeah.
Somebody said that.
Kavana.
Till Magen Avram. The Chazon Ish says, I didn't see this by other places, this telling you because it's a good practical thing. But what happens if you didn't have in mind right away in the beginning? It says, till the ending of the bracha, you could look back, review over the bracha in your mind, and look back at it and think what it means, and you don't have to go back actually and say the words again. But that's like important that we should think first pasuk Krias Shema and the first bracha Shema Esrei. But that's with the Rabbanan. But the first bracha also over there, because the ikar chesed of tefillah is to meshabeach the Eibishter. If you're not being meshabeach him, then what's the tefillah? There's a famous of Chaim Brisker. Chaim says that he says that actually he devised two kavanas. He says there's a kavana that you're standing before Hashem, and then there's a kavana to know what you're saying. To know what you're saying is only ma'akid, the first bracha Shema Esrei. But to know that you're oimid l'fnei HaMelech, it's ma'akid the whole thing. If you don't know that you're oimid l'fnei HaMelech,
you're in big trouble.
So he says, then it's not a chefs of tefillah. So the Rebbe would bring up this Reb Chaim. It's in the Chiddush Reb Chaim, Al Rambam. He learns it in the Rambam Pshat as a alumnus in the Rambam that there's two dinim in Kavana. So the Rebbe would point out when people would ask about Sid and Tefillah, he would say that, look, Reb Chaim, how much importance of having Kavana when you daven. But the Rebbe pointed out, I doubt that Halacha L'Maisa he passed in that way. For Chiddush Reb Chaim Al Rambam, as a alumnus, as a Pshat in the Rambam, but to say that Halacha L'Maisa, he would say that if a person didn't have Kavana, he should daven Shema Esrei again. He said, the Rebbe said, I don't think that he would say that L'Maisa.
What they're saying about Hasidim Rishonim before the daven, for a few hours, you used to make kavana.
Yeah.
For a few hours, you used to make kavana with the tefillah that they're going to daven. So,
Says a Chassidim Rishonim would come to have shatas agashmias. The whole gashmias of Elam Hazah would go away. They would remove themselves from the gashmias, and the whole remove their.
Not in heaven much Kashmiris.
So that takes a while. That takes a while. That takes a while to do that. You know, it doesn't. What was the minion?
Somebody put tefillin and he came and says, "Is your damn smears? His finger, his stomach. Put tefillin there." He said, "My job is to put tefillin. You worry about his. Go bring a nigga bus and wash his hand."
I heard a good word. Someone said, someone asked this question, but he didn't wash the nigga Wasser. So he said, Adrabah, by the way, if you have time and you could, you should. I mean, if you're in the store, you could tell him to wash, you should wash the hands. But he said, listen, when someone comes to you and he's famished and he's starving, he didn't eat for a few days. You first tell him, go wash nigga, give him food right away. So yeah, you have to give him food right away after this. Obviously, these are all b'di'evids. We're not talking to someone who's a from Yid. He's coming in. You have what you could do is the first step. Obviously, we start from tefillin. We're going to get him mitzvah Hashem, mitzvah gereres mitzvah, and eventually he'll do it properly. Many people start to put on tefillin the krias from there, and then they start. Yeah, you tell them say brachas. You tell them to wash your hands. So it's all everything starts by one thing.
His first question is, are you a Jew? Are you Jewish? Leave me alone. I saw it.
You know he's Jewish. The Goyim are very nice. Always find that usually the Goyim have no problem when you're asking, oh, a happy holiday, whatever it might be, if it's like the middle of an essay. The Yidden are trying to escape you, so they sometimes they're trying to run away. So then you have to be a little more suspicious. Maybe they're a Yid.
Or somebody said, I'm 40 years old and 13 years old. When I was 13, I put my tefillin. It's enough. One time in life.
My mother said, man, was about that. Yeah. He wasn't speaking English, probably because in the house of Yiddish, in the Shiva Yiddish. He understood, but nothing. So he came to Manhattan in somebody's office, and he told him, you're Jewish. Come put tefillin. He said, no, I'm a gentle. So I'm also a gentleman.
The old jokes they used to say about the Litayra Bachrim that didn't know English well. They would say the Litayra Bachrim came to the Miftzayim and find the office. He asked the secretary, is Harry available? Every week he goes to see Harry. He said, no, Harry's deceased. But he doesn't know what deceased is. So he said, but when will he be back? When will Harry be back?
You know what the word deceased?
Deceased means he's dead, but he didn't know the word.
So
when will Harry be back?
It's in Mitzvah. They have to explain to them what to say, how to say.
Okay, you're right, but you're right, but start them off young.
I was in Manhattan.
You were in the 42nd.
47, 48. So I say, for the garbage guy, when I put tefillin on someone, doesn't speak word in English. The guy asking question, so he saw me, he called me to explain to him.
It's about Hashem made it that way.
I'm just saying, half an hour to explain to him. They can't explain.
The famous story with that Mendel Chutafas. He came from Russia. He didn't speak any English. But the Rebbe said that you should go on he was a real chassid, but he was a real Russian chassid. So you go on the thing, and he grab a guy, and the Bachar wanted to see how is he going to do it. He said, you Jew, I Jew. Tefillin. That's it.
Did the guy put?
Yeah. He put on more tefillin than anyone else, the Americans. He spoke to the heart. If you know how to speak from the heart.
It's funny how the guy called me. תבוא תעזור לי, תבוא תעזור לי.
I went with them.
Because it's not selling
recently
anything.
to,
You're just saying
Abu
straight to the
base.
point, and that's it. You're not
Listen,
selling
Ra
anything.
emes unafal pan.
Yeah.
Such a yid. There's something that comes out, such a yid like this comes in his battle.
I
A
went with
different
them.
thing.
I went with them to sell to Abu base. It is a J.
The medal you in?
With medal, yeah, it's a vodka. So he told me, this is J. It's in English. This is a hotel.
he knew what jail was.
He laughing.
American
There's a
jail.
shower, they
It's
have
very-
a bed. This is a jet. This is a hotel. But none of this do not put film away. Everybody puts film.
Everybody put.
They see his face.
You know, I had a mitzvah.
Oh.
I used to work with the board of rabbi to give food to prisoners here in New York State.
Uh-huh.
So I used to go with my station wagon, I have packages, I have DJ, as usual, I have a car to go in. So he used to take me first floor, second floor, different inmen. So I go in with the elevator with the two guards on the second floor, and I'm looking to the name, Moscowitz, yes, Jewish name. I see I go in there, I'm a Jew too, can I have also? See, I don't have enough.
You were already to the
Side and they don't eat gefilte fish.
Oh, I do.
Having gefilte fish, right?
It's
Tomorrow
good.
is Tuesday.
back and forth.
So that is Tuesday.
I eat, I love the pasta.
So you have Ashkenazi wife.
Monday.
But she cook a lot of Sephardic. She learned from my mom.
Intermarriage.
She won't like it.
So tomorrow
I
night.
have my daughter.
Thank you for joining, everyone. Thank you.
Maybe you're right. Tonight.
My two son married Sephardic.
Sei gesund, gute Nacht.
Thank you, Dad.
My two son married Sephardic.